Welcome to the Network Plus Prepcast, your dedicated audio companion for mastering every objective on the CompTIA Network Plus certification exam. This series is produced by baremetalcyber.com. In episode 1026, we explore the structured approach to making network and system changes while maintaining operational stability. Change is a necessary part of IT, but unmanaged change introduces risk, unexpected downtime, broken configurations, and even data loss. That's why formal change management exists. It reduces disruption, improves transparency, and ensures every update is reviewed, documented, and aligned with broader business needs. For Network Plus candidates, understanding this process is critical both for passing the exam and for succeeding in a real-world IT operations role. The system lifecycle runs in parallel with change management. It provides a framework for managing hardware, software, and services from initial planning through deployment, operation, and retirement. When changes are introduced, they occur within this lifecycle, often triggering one stage to move into the next. This model ensures that transitions such as retiring a server or upgrading firmware happen in a controlled and predictable way. On the exam, you'll need to recognize both the structure of change management and the stages of the system lifecycle, including how the two interact to support network continuity. The goals of change management are simple but essential. Minimize downtime, avoid unintended consequences, and coordinate changes across teams. Even small adjustments can have wide-reaching effects in complex environments. Change management forces stakeholders to think through the potential impact of a change and plan accordingly. This process helps avoid disruptions to users and allows for better resource allocation. The exam often frames change management as a safeguard against chaos in live systems. The Change Advisory Board, or CAB, plays a central role in structured change management. This group reviews and evaluates proposed changes, ensuring that each one supports business goals and doesn't conflict with ongoing operations. The board also sets priorities and schedules implementations to avoid overlap or overload. In enterprise environments, the CAB may include representatives from networking, security, application teams, and business units. On the exam, you'll need to know the role of the CAB and how it contributes to safer, more organized network updates. The change request process formalizes every proposed modification. It begins with a submission that outlines the change, its purpose, potential risks, and a proposed implementation plan. This request is then analyzed to assess impact, reviewed for approval, and, if accepted, scheduled for execution. No change should proceed without this formal review unless it qualifies as an emergency. Exam scenarios may require you to identify proper change request steps, or recognize when a change should be escalated for further evaluation. Network changes come in many forms and all require change management. These include configuration updates, like adjusting routing protocols or firewall rules, software or firmware upgrades to operating systems or device platforms, and physical changes, such as replacing switches or rerouting cabling. Each type of change can have unique implications, including compatibility concerns or service downtime. On the exam, you'll likely need to categorize change types and explain how change procedures apply to each one. Some network issues are too urgent to wait for the normal change process. Emergency change procedures allow critical fixes to proceed immediately to restore service or resolve security threats. Even in these cases, documentation and post-change review are still required to maintain accountability. For example, an emergency patch for a zero-day vulnerability must be applied right away, but it should be logged and assessed after deployment. Expect exam questions that differentiate emergency changes from routine ones and ask how risk and documentation are managed afterward. Proper documentation is a pillar of change management and system auditing. It captures the state of systems before and after a change, links the change to a specific ticket or task, and stores this information for future review. This audit trail is important not only for internal accountability, but also for regulatory compliance. Documentation allows teams to retrace their steps during troubleshooting and provides evidence during audits. The exam may test your understanding of why documentation is essential and how it supports visibility across operations. Rollback and recovery planning are critical safeguards that should accompany every change. This means anticipating what could go wrong and preparing a plan to reverse the change or recover from failure. This plan often includes verifying recent backups, identifying the key systems affected, and having scripts or instructions ready for a quick reversion. Without a rollback plan, even a small configuration mistake could escalate into a widespread outage. The exam often includes change scenarios that test your ability to recommend or recognize the importance of rollback readiness. The system lifecycle includes 4 primary stages: plan, deploy, operate, and retire. During planning, organizations define what a system will do and how it will be implemented. Deployment brings the system online. Operation covers its day-to-day use, including updates and monitoring. Retirement involves decommissioning and removing the system from production. Each stage requires documentation and triggers different kinds of change. For example, moving from operation to retirement may involve data migration and hardware recycling. The exam may present a scenario where you must identify the current lifecycle stage or determine what actions belong to each phase. Asset disposal and retirement must be handled carefully to protect data and comply with environmental regulations. When a system is retired, any sensitive data it held must be securely erased or destroyed. Disposal must also follow e-waste handling procedures to avoid environmental harm. Finally, asset inventory records should be updated to reflect that the hardware or software is no longer in use. On the exam, you may be asked how asset retirement contributes to both security and compliance. For more cyber content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Version control is essential for managing configuration changes across network devices and systems. It allows teams to track what was changed, when it was changed, and by whom. This not only improves accountability but also supports troubleshooting. If a recent update causes an outage, version control systems enable a rollback to the previous stable configuration. Some version control tools even highlight differences between revisions, making it easier to audit changes. On the exam, expect to see questions about how version control supports operational visibility and how it integrates with broader change management practices. Change management tools bring structure and transparency to the entire process. These tools often include ticketing systems where change requests are submitted, reviewed, and tracked, configuration management databases, or CMDBs, which store information about assets and their relationships, and shared documentation platforms which house SOPs, rollback procedures, and implementation plans. These systems help prevent miscommunication and ensure that everyone involved in a change is working from the same information. On the exam, be familiar with the functions of these tools and how they support successful change implementation. Effective communication is critical during the change process. All teams affected by the change must be notified in advance, and the timing of the update must be coordinated to avoid unexpected disruptions. For example, network engineers might need to coordinate with application teams or help desk staff to ensure that any potential issues are anticipated and that support is available. Lack of communication leads to confusion, missed dependencies, and unnecessary downtime. The exam may ask how poor coordination impacts change outcomes or what steps help ensure alignment. After a change is implemented, post-change validation ensures that everything works as expected. This step involves testing the updated configuration, monitoring system performance, and verifying that the desired outcome has been achieved. It also includes collecting feedback from users, who may be the first to notice subtle issues. Post-change validation provides a critical checkpoint before a change is closed. If issues are found, teams may initiate a rollback or open a follow-up change request. On the exam, expect questions about what steps should occur after a change and how results are confirmed. To assess the effectiveness of change management, metrics are used to evaluate success. These may include the amount of downtime experienced, whether goals were met, and whether the change caused any unintended consequences. Tracking these metrics over time allows organizations to refine their change processes and improve outcomes. For example, if a large percentage of changes require rollbacks, that might indicate inadequate testing or planning. The exam may present change scenarios and ask which metrics would help determine whether the change was successful. Training and knowledge transfer play a crucial role in ensuring smooth transitions during change. When new systems or procedures are introduced, users must be informed and trained to avoid confusion or operational errors. Technical staff must also have access to documentation that helps them support the change, troubleshoot issues, and train others. Without adequate training, even well-planned changes can result in user frustration and increased support calls. The exam may ask about the importance of documentation and staff readiness in change adoption. Understanding how lifecycle planning fits into the certification exam involves identifying where specific actions belong in the lifecycle. You may be asked to recognize when an asset is being planned, deployed, actively maintained, or retired. You should also be able to link specific change activities to the appropriate lifecycle stage. For instance, a firmware upgrade occurs during the operation phase, while secure wiping is part of retirement. These distinctions help ensure that lifecycle management supports ongoing operational continuity. In summary, change management is about more than approvals and tickets. It's about delivering improvements without disruption. When paired with the system lifecycle, change management ensures that assets evolve in a structured, secure, and documented manner. By coordinating teams, validating outcomes, and maintaining thorough records, organizations can confidently execute changes with minimal risk. On the exam, expect to be tested on the procedural flow of changes, roles like the CAB, and how documentation, validation, and communication all contribute to network reliability. To conclude, Episode 126, Structured Change and Lifecycle Management, are not just good practices. They are critical to keeping IT systems stable and secure. Whether replacing aging hardware or deploying a configuration update, methodical planning reduces outages, improves user experience, and ensures accountability. M. Zadzafi, MBA. For Network Plus certification, understanding these frameworks will help you answer scenario-based questions with confidence and demonstrate readiness to operate in environments where uptime, compliance, and coordination are essential. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Network Plus Prepcast, your trusted audio guide to the CompTIA Network Plus certification. This episode was produced by baremetalcyber.com. For more cybersecurity podcasts, books, and resources, visit baremetalcyber.com. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.